What's up, folks? Matt with Texas Edge Home Inspections. I'm here today on a pre-drywall home inspection. At this stage of a build, I'm not only looking for framing issues, but I'm also looking at the roof. I'm looking at the foundation. I'm looking at the rough plumbing, electrical, and HVAC, and anything else that I can see at this stage of the build. The point of a pre-drywall inspection is so that we can get a look at all of these things before it's too late, before they put up insulation and drywall, where these type of things would be covered up and we wouldn't be able to see them. I've found issues like pierced plumbing pipes that would have caused leaks. I have found issues where they have stapled electrical lines or nailed through electrical lines. I didn't find any of that today on this build, but I did find some other things I'm going to take you through here and show you. So come take a look. Starting out here in the garage area, we want to talk about foundation anchorage. Now there are different types of foundation anchorage. There are sometimes they can use bolts, sometimes they can use straps. In this case, we have used both kinds of foundation anchorage today. And what I want you to pay attention to is where they're placed. So every 6 feet, we're supposed to have some foundation anchorage, but every time there's a break in the bottom plate, we need anchorage every 12 inches. And if we look over here, we actually have foundation anchorage 12 inches from where the garage door starts, and then 12 inches from where the side wall starts over here. We've got good anchorage there, and roughly actually less than 6 feet from there, we're good. Where we really want to start paying attention is over here where this UFR ground is. And what happens over here is this is a grounding rod. It goes into the foundation, and this is a concrete encased grounding electrode. And so it has to go into the foundation, and so the sill plate has to go around it. And so they cut the sill plate to fit this in, but the problem is we don't have any foundation anchorage on the right or left side of it within 12 inches. We do have this little bitty strap that I think maybe possibly held on by like one fastener, but I mean, we can do a better job than that of fastening the foundation to the sill plate here. And so we're going to recommend that they put in some additional foundation anchorage on either side of this UFR here. Next, I want to talk to you about where plumbing pipes or vent pipes go through the top plate or through the bottom plate. We want a metal plate here to protect them from any nail damage. And you can see here, we have one. They have one right here. We have one on the other side too to protect this pipe from any damage. That's great. This nail plate needs to extend a minimum of 2 inches above the bottom plate here. And up here, the nail plate needs to extend at least 2 inches below the top plate. And this one, these are fine. These two are fine. These two are fine. We have another pipe over here. Up here, we're looking good. Down here, we're looking good. But let me take you on the other side and see what we've got going on over there. So over here, we've got, and we were just in that room. Now we're on this side over here. Over here, we've got this plumbing pipe. And down here at the bottom, we're good to go. You can see we had the one that we saw when we were over there in that room. That's just fine. Over here, we're doing just fine. But it's at the top where we start to have a problem. And as you can see, they installed the plate, but they installed it at the bottom of the top plate, and it needs to extend 2 inches past that to properly protect that pipe. So this plate right here is installed in the wrong place. They need to pull it off and bring it down a little bit. While we're on the subject of plumbing pipes, I want to talk to you about this supply piping here. This house has plumbing. PEX pipe is the plumbing pipe that they've used for supply lines here, and it needs to be supported every 4 feet to keep it from banging around in the wall cavity. And what looks like it probably happened here is that an electrician came to install this junction box. This is a box for a light switch that's going to be over here for the closet, and when they did, they knocked this pipe out of the way, and now because of that situation, these pipes are sitting behind that box, and now the drywall is not going to sit flush. And so for multiple reasons, we need to get this situated. They're probably going to undo this strap right here and move these pipes over here and support them to this blocking. I think that would be ideal, but something to keep this pipe from banging around and to keep the pipes sitting flush so that the drywall can be installed properly. Now, in order to see what I want to show you next, we're going to have to go outside, so come along with me. Now, if you know anything about high performance building, you probably have heard of the one thing per hole theory, right? You see this in Matt Risinger stuff. I've actually done some videos with Jake Bruton about this topic and Mark Willey, but this right here is the complete opposite of that, okay? We have all of these electrical wires. This is where the breaker box is going to be. It's going to be out here on the outside of the house. I get it. Some people don't like that. I don't love it either, but it is what it is. That's where it's going to be. But we have every wire that's going to be going from that box inside the house is going in through this one hole in the side here. They haven't done anything to flash it. They have sprayed foam on the inside wall, but they haven't done anything to flash the exterior here. And there's just no way you're going to be able to air seal this properly. There's still going to be air leakage through here. Look, I get it. It's a lot of wires to run and drill a hole through this cardboard sheathing and run one per, but I mean, I feel like we can do a little bit better job than this. At the very least, I think we could put this through a piece of quick flash or something that's going to at least attempt at making a better seal. This, not good at all. So I brought you back in here on the other side of this wall so that I could show you what's going on over here and emphasize the one hole per thing theory. And what I'm really talking about here is when you drill one hole for each thing going through the wall. And when you do that, you can a lot better manage the air intrusion that's coming into the structure. And okay, I will give it to you, even if you just did one hole and put 2 wires through it, like that could be a lot better than what you see here. And what you see here is every one of these wires, and I'm not going to count them, but it's a lot, come through one gaping hole, and they've sprayed a mess of foam back over here. But you'll never convince me that every little area here is sealed tightly, and we're going to prevent air from coming through this gaping hole that's on the other side of this this sheathing and going through the weather barrier. We're never going to be able to seal that properly with all of this coming through, where if we give ourselves an opportunity to do that by lessening the size of the hole and the amount of things going through it, we can seal it properly. If you look up, they have done that at the top plate. You can't really see with all the foam here, but you can see that we have about 2 wires going through each penetration, and they've sealed around each one of them. I believe that to be exponentially better air sealed than what's going on right here. And that's great because that's a draft stop to keep air from going back into your attic. It's to help prevent the spread of fire. But we're not doing much at all to keep air from getting inside the house from outside. Now things get a little bit interesting over here on this side of the house because we have flashing tape, okay? Now this stuff is designed to seal wall penetrations, to flash wall penetrations. So great, we've used this in this case to seal the penetration where the window is going through the wall. That's fantastic. We also have another type of tape right here, this green tape. This is a type of tape called seam tape, okay? What this does is it seals the joint between the weather barrier sheets here. It's not necessary if we have the proper overlap, but it's good to do it anyway, and they've done it on just about every seam, every joint over here, so that's great. We've used seam tape for that. What I don't like is that we've used, now this is flashing tape here, and it's been used to seal the joint. I mean, okay, it's probably because they didn't really fasten it very good here and stick it out, and so they're using something a little bit more apt to do the job more than the seam tape. But we've used seam tape to very poorly flash this plumbing clean out here. And the fact of the matter is, I don't mind you using flashing tape for seam tape. That's fine. That's like using a better product. Seam tape for flashing, that's not going to work, okay? Seam tape isn't flashing tape. This isn't really going to keep water out. It's not designed for that purpose. And really, we need to use some flashing tape. And we need to do it properly because done improperly, it's just going to be subject to moisture and air intrusion as well. So yeah, this situation here isn't good and really needs to be improved. If you take a look here, they've used a different type of flashing tape around. This is the air intake for the HVAC. And this is what I'm talking about being done correctly. Like, if it's done correctly, each piece should overlap. Really, you should get a stretchier type of tape and go all the way around the penetration, or at least try to do that and then seal as much along the top as possible, but like a shingle-like fashion so water can shed off of it. But in this case, we just slapped little pieces together here, and I feel like water could get in back here, and just this is just not how it should be done. Now, thankfully, this isn't in an area that's going to be very subject to moisture intrusion, being the fact that we've got this overhang right above it. So I'm okay with it there, but if you're going to flash it, let's do it right. Now, finally, I want to talk to you about this little corner here. So what we've got here, this is going to be brick or masonry right here. We've got this plastic, this poly material here. This is a bond breaker. It is in place to be here between the brick and mortar and the foundation. Those things expand and contract at different temperatures. And if this isn't here and expansion happens, which it will, you will end up with corner pops in the foundation. This is very common to find in our area on any house that has, you know, a brick and mortar veneer. And so and it happens because of this. Basically, this material doesn't go well around the corners, and I get that. And so they cut it so that it'll fit. And you can see that they tried to put in another piece here, but it only extends this far. You've still got this much space here where you're going to have contact with the brick and mortar and the foundation, and that's going to cause a corner pop in this area. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. We have some areas where it was done a little bit better, but if they would take the time to get this bond breaker put in the right place and cover up all of those areas, we wouldn't have these corner pops that are really and truly just a cosmetic crack. They're kind of ugly, but they're mostly just a cosmetic crack, but they can be an entry point for insects. And so for those reasons, let's try to prevent that from happening. However, if you do have corner pops, most of the time, it's not anything to be worried about from any structural standpoint. I do suggest getting a nice sealant and putting in there to keep insects out. Sashco makes a great product called Slab. I've used it for this before. Fantastic for that. It will, because no matter what, if you go and fill it in with concrete, it's going to happen again because the problem exists because this bond breaker is not there. So you got to put a material in there that will expand and contract along with the other building materials that are here. And so a sealant like Slab is a really good product to use for that purpose. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. Matt with Texas Edge Home Inspections. I'm going to finish up this inspection so I can get to another one. You guys give me a call so I can come inspect your house. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye now.